Hi everybody, welcome to a Grimdark Future Battle Report. Custodian Brothers versus Alien Hives. The Prime Brother forces are slowly losing control of more and more areas in the Legatos Sector. Dark Brothers, Blood Brothers, and also the HDF have fought enemy forces back. But where some are eliminated, others show up. The Alien Hives have brought larger and more brutal monsters to aid them, and now such a creature has been deployed on the surface of a smaller planet. No nearby Dark or Blood Brother patrols have the firepower to stop this beast. The planet is lost, unless Supreme Command is willing to deploy the most elite forces of the Custodian Brothers to stop the monster before it will reach the no man's land between the city and the outer areas. And so, Custodian Master Talorn Castivar and his troops are now on the planet surface. Few in numbers, but with highly specialized equipment and experience. The alien forces approach from the east, and they are led by a Snatcher Lord. He is fast, and he is a caster level 2, armed with heavy claws. Then we have 10 Shooter Grunts, armed with Bio-Ravagers, and they have poison if they fight in melee. A group of 5 Soul Snatchers, they are also fast, and they are armed with heavy claws. And then we have a Hive Swarm with swarm attacks. Also, 3 Hive Warriors, armed with Razor Claws, and finally the large monster, a spawning beast with a tough value of 18, armed with Rapid Stinger Launcher, Heavy Razor Claws, and Stomp. And the monster can also spawn 3 Hive Swarms once per game. That is for sure a deadly force. On the other side of the battlefield is the Custodian Brothers, led by Master Custodian Talorn Castivar. He is armed with Bolt Mount and Halberd. He has a combat shield, and he is a Warden that gives him Regeneration. Then we have a group of 3 Custodian Brothers armed with Bolt Mounts and Halberds. We also have 2 Custodian Jet Bikers. They are fast, with a tough value of 6. They are armed with heavy rifles and energy lances. And finally, 2 groups of Vigilant Sisters. They are both armed with energy swords. They are furious, and all the Custodian Brother forces are fearless. Also a very capable force, but is it enough to stop the aliens? We'll see about that. In the middle of the battlefield in no man's land, we have 3 objectives. And each objective will score the forces 1 victory point at the end of every round, including the first. So speed is essential in this battle report. We also have a couple of side missions. Both forces have the side mission Rush, and that is basically to be the first to destroy an enemy unit. Then the Custodian Brothers have Erased, where they must eliminate the spawning beast, because it's the most expensive enemy unit with a tough value of 12 or more. And the aliens have Butcher, where they must eliminate the most expensive unit with more than 3 models. In this case, that's the group of Custodian Brothers. The side missions will earn the forces additional victory points. But now, let's roll off. The Custodian Brothers will roll the green dice, and that's a 5, and the aliens the red dice. The Custodian Brothers will begin round 1. The jet bike here will be the first unit to activate. It's fast, so he can advance up to 8 inches. And from this position, that takes him within 24 inches of his firing range with his heavy rifles mounted on the jet bike. And of course, the target is the spawning beast. He'll have to roll 3 or more to hit. So there are 5 hits with AP 1. The beast has a defense of 2, and without any kind of trouble, it will block all the hits. Next up, the Shooting Grunts. They also advance from their position behind the crates, and from here they can target the jet bike. And they have a lot of shots, 20 shots, we'll divide them into 2 groups of 10 each. They will have to roll 5s to hit. Not impressive, but still, 4 hits. With advanced equipment, the Custodian Jetbiker only needs 2s to block, and he will shake off all the hits from the first round. 10 more shots, and this time 6 hits. That's not bad shooting from the grunts. So 6 hits coming against the Jetbiker, and he will fail 1 this time. So out of 20 shots, he will, in the end, take 1 wound. The second Jetbiker activates, and with Strider he can easily navigate down from this building and take up this position. And he will fire past the shooting grunts and into the Hive warriors. And he also has 6 shots. Only 3 hits. With AP 1, the Hive warriors must roll 5s to block. They will block 1, so 2 wounds. They have a tough value of 3. Then the huge monster, the spawning beast, will advance 6 inches on top of this pile of scrap, and it will fire its rapid stinger launcher against the Jetbiker. 18 shots. It will hit on a roll of 4. We'll also divide the shots into 2 groups. Ooh, and there are a lot of hits here. It's AP nothing, but it's rending, and there are 5 rending hits and 3 regular hits. That's an incredible shot. So first up, 6s are needed to block, and unfortunately only 1. It was actually a great defense roll, but 4 hits already with a tough value of 6, and here comes the regular hits, and 2 of them will fail. That's a total of 6 hits, and that's way too much. The proud Custodian Jetbiker will be shot into pieces. The aliens will score 1 victory point for Rush, and Talorn Castivar will move forward. He will target the shooter grunts with his bolt mount, 3 shots, and he will only hit with 1 of them. Let's see if they can block that 1 shot. They are in cover, but still no. So 1 shooter grunt is shot down by the master. Then the Hive swarm will move forward and take the first objective in No Man's Land. I should point out that there are 3 Hive swarms, only 1 model here, but I'll correct that shortly. And that will attract the attention of the Vigilant Sisters. They will charge against the Hive swarm. The Sisters have a total of 10 energy sword attacks, and they are also furious, so we are looking for 6s here. Again, a really bad dice roll. They seem nervous in front of the huge monster. Only 3 hits, and none of them are furious. The Hive swarms are not known for their defensive capabilities, so only 6s will count, and none of those. So 1 Hive swarm will leave. The 2 remaining swarms will fight back with 6 swarm attacks. They will hit only with 6s, and there is 1 roll of 6. And it's a poisonous hit. And the sisters have a defense of 3, so a roll of 2 is not enough. 1 sister will be killed. Still, they will win the battle. So the Hive swarms will have to take a morale test and fail, but they are fearless. They will get a second chance with a roll of 4 or more, and they will pass. So they will stay and contest the objective. But the battle is not over for the Vigilant Sisters. Here comes the Soul Snatchers, and they are fast, and they are nasty, and they attack with 10 attacks. They will hit with no less than 8 of their attacks, and with AP 1, the Sisters must roll 4s, and they have to roll a lot. Luckily for them, no rending hits, but still, there are 4 sisters left. Can they survive this? And as far as I can see, there are way too many low defense rolls. The entire unit of Vigilant Sisters is eliminated, and the aliens will again control the objective. With the sisters gone here, The Custodian forces will easily lose that flank on the battlefield, so the Custodian Brothers will advance and they will fire their bolt mounts. They have a total of 9 shots and they will fire against the Soul Snatchers. They'll need 3 or more to hit. And they will fail a couple of shots, but they will hit with the rest of them. And it's also rending, and there are 2 rending hits. The Soul Snatchers will begin with the rending hits. They will need 6s to block. And there is 1. So one of the rending hits is blocked. The other one will hit. 1 hit so far. Now the 5 remaining hits, they will have to roll 4s. Definitely not bad. Only 2 failed defense rolls. All in all, 3 of the Soul Snatchers will be shot down by the Custodian Brothers. Still 2 remaining, but they are below half strength. So they will have to perform a morale test. They have a quality of 3 and they will easily pass. The 2 remaining Soul Snatchers will stay exactly where they are. The Snatcher Lord will then activate. He's armed with heavy claws, but also 2 magic caster tokens. But he will stay back behind the spawning beast. Then the second group of Vigilance Sisters will rush forward, close enough to take control of the central objective in No Man's Land. Finally, the Hive Warriors will activate. They were shot earlier in this round. They cannot reach anybody with a charge, so they will instead rush to control the third and final objective on the battlefield, and that will conclude the first round. And that round definitely went to the Alien Hives. They eliminated 2 Custodian Brother units. And right now, the aliens control 2 objectives, and they also scored the Rush side mission, so they will have 3 victory points. The Custodian Brothers only 1. Let's go to round 2. The Snatcher Lord will receive 2 new caster tokens. He now has 4, and that makes him very dangerous. But the Custodian forces will activate first, and the Vigilant Sisters will charge the Hive Warriors. And when they approach, they will contest the objective. And then they will swing their energy swords. 10 attacks. They will hit on a 4. And that's a decent attack roll. There is 1 roll of 6, and they are furious, so that one will count as another hit. And that gives, in the end, a total of 6 hits. 1 of them will be rending. Let's begin with the rending hit. A defense roll of 6 is needed, and that's no good, so 1 hit so far. Then the 5 remaining hits, and that will take defense rolls of 5. And there is only 1 good defense roll, so that means 5 hits. That's not enough to eliminate the entire group of Hive Warriors, but they will cut the group down to 1 remaining alien, and he is wounded as well. But he still can fight back. 2 attacks. And they will hit both of them. It's AP nothing. The sisters will block with rolls of 3. And they will fail 1. So 1 sister is shredded. But the sisters will still win the battle. The remaining alien will have to perform a morale test, and he will easily pass. He is definitely not finished yet. The sisters must back off, but they will still contest the objective. The monster moves again. The spawning beast will advance forward, and that will take it into a position where the Custodian Master Brother, Castivar, is in sight. Again, 18 shots divided into 2 groups. And there are not that many hits this time, but some of them are rending. Castivar has a heavy shield, so he will actually save the rending hits with a 5. So let's see if he can block any of them, and he can't. So he will take 2 wounds. And the regular hit, he will easily block that. But that was only half the shots. He will face 9 more. And again, we have 1 rending hit and a few regular ones. 4 hits, and first the rending one, and he will fail that again. And the 3 regular hits. With a very tough armor, he will block them. Still, in the end, he will take 3 wounds, but he is a Warden and he has Regeneration, so he has a chance to roll 5 or 6 and ignore the wounds. And all the Regeneration attempts fail. He will take 3 wounds. That's half of his tough value, so he will also have to perform a morale test. And he will pass that one, of course. The remaining Jet Biker will move to the right side of the battlefield, and he will of course target not the spawning beast. He will be able to target the Snatcher Lord. He is within 24 inches, so 6 shots with his heavy rifles. Unfortunately, only 3 hits. And with a tough value of 3, the Snatcher Lord is forced to save at least 1 of them, and he will need 5s. And he will fail them all. 3 hits, 3 wounds. The Snatcher Lord, the leader of the Alien Hives, in a surprise attack will be shot down. The shooter grunts react immediately. They advance from their position behind the barrels to the central objective. From here they fire their weapons at the Vigilant Sisters. The first group of shots against the Sisters will hit with 3 hits, and the Sisters will block the 2 of them, so 1 Sister is down. And then the second group of shots. Let's see if they can do any better here. And there are still a few hits, unfortunately for the Sisters. They will have to come up with 4 defense rolls. Again, they will have to roll 3 to block the shots that should be possible, but they will fail 1, so another Sister will be shot down. That leaves only 2 in this group, so that takes a morale test. They are below half strength, they have a quality of 4, and they will pass. The main objective for the Custodian Brothers is still to stop the spawning beast, so the unit of brothers will advance forward, and they will forget all about the Soul Snatchers and the Hive Swarms, and they will target the beast with their weapons. 9 shots against the spawning beast. With tough 18, there is a long way to go, but they will hit on 3s, and they are looking for 6s because that will be rending hits. And there are a few 6s here, and also 3 failed shots. 6 shots, and 3 of them will be rending. They force the spawning beast to block the rending hits with a roll of 6. And there is 1 good defense roll. So far, 2 wounds, then the 3 regular hits. And that will only take a defense roll of 2. And the spawning beast will block them all. So 2 wounds was all what the Custodian Brothers were able to do. The Soul Snatchers are aliens, but they are not stupid. They know that they will most likely die in a charge against the Custodian Brothers, so they will move to the back of the battlefield behind the Custodian forces, and that will immediately draw the attention of Master Castivar. He will advance and shoot the 2 approaching Soul Snatchers, and he will hit with 3 shots, and 1 of them is rending. Maybe that was not a wise move after all. So 1 Soul Snatcher is shot down. What about the final one? He will block both shots. So 1 Soul Snatcher is killed, but still 1 annoying Soul Snatcher in the backfield. The last High Warrior has attacked the Vigilant Sisters, but failed to do any damage. Now the Sisters will fight back, but hit only once. Maybe it's enough. The High Warrior will block with a roll of 6 because it's a rending hit, And with an unsuccessful defense roll, the Hive Warrior will take 1 wound and lose this battle. It's still alive, but it will have to make a morale test. And the morale test will fail in the first place, but it is fearless, and that will be no help at all in the end. The Hive Warrior will immediately leave the battlefield, and the Vigilant Sisters stand victorious and will claim the objective. Final activation is the Hive Swarms, and they will definitely not attack the Custodian Brothers. They will stay guarding the objective. That will conclude round number 2. The Custodian Brothers control 1 objective, and that will take them to 2 victory points, but they are falling behind. The aliens control 2 and now have a total of 5 victory points. It's the 3rd round. The 3rd round begins with the Custodian Brothers in a very daring and necessary move. They will charge the spawning beast with their deadly halberds, and they will hit with all of them. And it's AP 2, so the spawning beast must roll force. And only 1 hit. That's still deadly. That will give 3 more wounds to the beast and take it to a total of 5, but that's far from enough to do any serious damage. Instead, the brothers will now face the retaliation strike, the heavy razor claw, and that one is AP 1, and there are 2 hits and 1 wound to one of the brothers. And then the spawning beast will stomp, and that will also be 6 attacks. And there are 2 more hits, and that's AP 2, so now 4s are needed. They will lose the battle because of the fear 3 of the spawning beast, but they will pass the morale test. Instead, the shooter grunts will not shoot but charge the Vigilant Sisters, and they will perform 8 attacks and not 9 to correct the previous mistake, and in the end they will hit with only 1 of their attacks. They are poisonous though, so the sisters will have to block, and they cannot roll a 6, but they will not do that, so none of the sisters will take any damage from the charge. Now they will fight back with 4 energy sword attacks. And there will be hits, 3 of them. Let's see how many of the grunts can save. Only 1, so 2 shooter grunts will be killed, and the sisters will win the battle. And that's an easy morale test for the shooter grunts. They will stay close to the sisters and to the objective. It's about the final call for the Custodian Brothers. The jet biker will approach the objective and contest it, and then fire his twin heavy rifles at the hive swarms. He'll hit with all 6 of his shots, and if he can remove the hive swarms, he will of course claim the objective. And now let's see how many 6s they can roll. There is 1 that will remove 1 hive swarm and leave 1 behind with 2 wounds. So it's still there, but can it also pass a morale test? Now it's below half strength, and no in the first place, but then the fearless roll, and it's a 4, just enough to stick around and contest the objective. Against all odds, 1 Soul Snatcher is still alive, and it will charge Master Custodian Castivar with 2 attacks and double 6s. It doesn't get better than that. It's rending hits. Castivar needs 5s to block those claws. And he will block them both. So a great attack, but also a very effective defense roll. Now he can fight back. That's not as effective, but he will hit with 1 of his attacks. And the Soul Snatcher will block. This battle is not over. But Castivar has better things to do. He will have to move away from the Soul Snatcher and instead target the shooter grunts with his bolt mount. 3 shots. And it's not good. Only 1 hit. And no defense roll, but that only removes 1 shooter grunt. The great beast moves again. Only a slight adjustment, and then it will target the Custodian Brothers with the rapid stinger launcher. They now face the 18 shots, and that could very well be the last thing they face at all. And there are a lot of hits. Also, 2 rending hits. They will have to do their very best to survive this. Let's begin with the rending. And they will not defend any of those that will take down 1 proud Custodian Brother already. Then the regular hits, and also a failed defense roll here, so that will give 1 wound to another brother. Then the second group of shots. And this spawning beast actually is quite a capable shot. Again, rending hit, and again, no defense roll. That's the second wound. They have tough armor, but they also face many, many shots. There are 4 regular hits left, and 3 blocks and 1 failed, so another Custodian Brother is killed in the endless shots here. So the remaining one must pass a morale test, and he will do that, but 2 of his brothers are lost. The Vigilant Sisters and the Shooter Grunts have already fought, but the Sisters will try to cut them down to below half strength and hope for at least 1 roll of 6. And that hope is lost. They will hit nothing. But that gives the Shooter Grunts a chance to strike back. They also need 6s, of course. They are fatigued, but they are way more effective. They will hit with 2 of their attacks. They are poisonous. The Sisters must block, but if they roll a 6, they are forced to reroll. But they are nowhere near a roll of 6. That's a very poor defense roll. That charge completely failed. Both Sisters were killed, and the aliens will take over the objective. Finally, the Hive Swarm here will wisely retreat, but still stick around the objective. At the end of the 3rd round, that will give 2 more objective victory points to the Alien Hives, and the situation is hopeless and lost for the Custodian Brothers. Castivar will retreat his surviving forces and get out of no man's land and the city as fast as possible. This is a critical situation. The Alien Hives have a huge victory, and the spawning beast didn't even use the ability to spawn 3 more hive swarms. The only setback was the loss of their Snatcher Lord leader, but they seem to be unstoppable. And if they are unstoppable, question is now, who will stop them? Thanks a lot for watching this battle report. I hope you enjoyed the content. If you did, please like and subscribe to the channel, and I hope you'll join me for future bad reps.